Okay, so not all of the oil control valves are the same, but this one is there. And all I do is I move it up, and did you hear the click? And that turns the oil off. And after a while, a couple of hours, the flame will go out, and then the agar will cool down, and then I can service it. Okay, so we turn the oil off, and then I've left it to cool overnight with the doors open. That just helps it to cool down and lose all the heat. You can see in here, which is the door on the left, so some of them have got these control doors in different places depending on how many ovens there are and stuff. The door on the left, this is where the burner is. So you can see it's quite dusty. So I'm just going to hoover that out before doing anything else. So now I've done that, I'm going to lift this plate off. And it does just lift off. And then, like, you're supposed to clean the glass, and obviously you've got the rope around the edge, which obviously you'll be able to change. I just want to make sure everything's nice and clean. I'll do a bit more hoovering in here. So basically, look, this is the oil feed. That's the burner in there, which we're going to lift out in a minute. But this is the oil feed pipe. So it comes up and then it goes into here, and we're going to disconnect this oil feed pipe. So we need 2 spanners, a 12 and a 14 mil, I think they are. And we're going to disconnect this nut here from this joint here, and then we will disconnect this and take this pipe off and everything like that as well. But we want to take them off and then put new sealant on and this, that and the other. So I've undone that, and you can see there's a bit of oil weeping out of there. So we just want to get a bit of kitchen roll or a rag or something to just mop that up as we disconnect the pipes. Like that. Once the pipe is disconnected, this whole burner assembly just slides out. It's not attached to anything other than the oil feed pipe. If we have a look at the burner assembly itself, we've got a lid which we can take off, and then we've got these shells inside. And what we're going to do is going to take them off, position them back on the lid in the order that they've come off and in the orientation. So the bottom is the bottom. I don't think it really makes any difference, to be perfectly honest, but that's just the way I like to do it. The one that does make a difference is this one, which is the outer shell. The outer shell has got this little window which needs to point to the front because that's where you're going to light it from. So that little window always needs to be at the front. And you can see there is like bits of build up on these holes, so they will restrict the airflow. So if you can clean them out, then great. So I've got an airline, so I'll blow them out with an airline when I'm doing the rest of the job. Then if we look at this here, this is the actual burner itself, and we've got 2 wicks. So we've got an outer wick and an inner wick, and when we take them out, so they're all crusty, look. So we're going to replace them, and I buy a roll of wick and I basically cut these cutouts out myself. So I have kept a clean piece of this as a template, so I'll use that as my template to cut out my new wick. So the cutouts always go to the bottom, it doesn't matter where in relation to the rest of the burner the cutouts go, and then the same with the inner one. And then if we have a look in here, so there's a little lid, and in that little lid you'll see in there it's full of carbon buildup. And basically what will have happened is the oil comes through this section here, and that will have all been blocked up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a screwdriver, an old screwdriver, and we're going to scrape all that nasty carbon out and make it all nice and clean again, as clean as we possibly can. If you can get it back to bare metal, then great. I often just get it as clean as I possibly can. And then we're then going to turn the thing over and take the oil feed pipe off this section here, and we're going to be left with just this nut going into the burner assembly, and that's all going to be carboned up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a drill, and we're going to drill through that to make that hole, that opening, as I think they say it's 3 mil. I often use a 3.5 mil drill bit, so the 3.5 mil will just enlarge it fractionally. I have had a couple of instances where I've snapped drill bits in these because it's slightly on an angle, so you've just got to be really careful. And if you want to be super cautious, you can actually take this burner plate off, and then you're not pressing up against anything with your drill, and it's just a straight drill. So that's what I'm going to do. That's a 3 mil drill bit. I'm going to go up to 3.5. That's just the end of the pipe that joins this part of the burner. That's also carboned up as well, so we're just cleaning that out, and just because otherwise the oil can't get through. That's the only thing that I've got, is I've got a compressor. You can get little portable compressors, and I've got a little blower, so I do use that to blow through all of the little orifices. That would be a good idea. So I've drilled all the way through so that I can see the drill bit from the inside of the burner. So that means it's all clear, and I've gone up from a 3 to a 3.5 to a 4 mil bit. So just do have to be right careful with this bit so that you don't snap the drill bit. And then I'm going to blow that out again with the air blower, and then we're ready to put it back together. Okay, so we've cleaned out the burner, made our new wicks. Now we're going to reassemble things. So I'm going to reattach this pipe onto the burner, but I use a jointing compound to prevent any leaks through the threads. So you've just got to make sure that the old compound is scraped off from the threads before applying it. We'll just apply a bit around the threads, so that when it's tightened up, it seals it and prevents any oil leaks. So I'm going to do that now. And make sure that you don't get any of that inside that hole there. It just literally wants to go on the outside. So I did put too much on my hand, but not too much that it's going to cause a problem. and then it will take a little while to set this properly, but it shouldn't prevent us from turning the oil supply back on once we're all reassembled. And then I'm going to do the same with this 90-degree joint, which, if you remember, goes on here. And then we're going to turn the burner over, reassemble all of that, and then slide that back into the cavity and hoover it out, slide it back into the cavity, and then reattach. So then put some more jointing compound on the end of the 90-degree that's going to go into that section there, and tighten that up. And then once that's done, I'm going to turn the oil supply on again, and then I'm going to wait half an hour, and then I'm going to relight it. So the wicks are going to go in. Don't need to line up with anything, literally just in and push down to the bottom. Same with the longer one. I've got to do this with one hand now. It's not very good. And then I can put the burner shells back in. Again, they don't need to line up with anything except for the outer one, which we want the burner lighting window to face the front. Simple as that. I forgot to put that little cap in there, but luckily I can get it in with the shells in. And then the lid on, and then I'm going to slide that into the burner cavity, reattach this 90-degree joint with the jointing compound on it to the oil feed pipe, turn the oil on, and get it lit in half an hour's time. There we go. Everything's all nicely tightened up and jointing compound on everything. So now I'm going to go into my cupboard where my oil feed comes in, and I am going to press the oil feed I need to push down on. There you go. So that should open the oil feed now, and I'm going to leave it now for half an hour, and then I'm going to come back and light it literally with either a long match or a long lighter. Okay, the moment of truth. And there we go. She's lit. The agar will take some time now to heat up, a few hours normally. I'm gonna, you can see those flames are looking good. I'll just lift the door back on. I might not be able to do this with one hand. Oh yeah, there we go. All looking good. One serviced agar. It should get back up to temperature. Happy days.